Hey, welcome in everyone to another edition of Titan Talk, the first of 5 Titan Talks this week. Got Killgoon with me, and we brought in Clumzy because every day this week, we're going to be going over an exciting new feature coming to SMITE in the January update, right, Killgoon?
Yeah, definitely. I think this first day is one of the most exciting because we have to lay the groundwork for a lot of the other stuff that's happening in the update, right?
Pressure's
on. Basically, what we want to do is we want to flash test as much as we can this week. Our goal is to flash test every day. And we're going to cover the things in Titan Talk that day that we will turn on as new for the flash test that day.
That's so exciting.
It's pretty exciting, right? So there'll be something new to look forward to that you can play every day in a flash test. Fingers crossed that today's flash test actually works.
Yep.
Today's is the most at risk because it's the first one. But theoretically, every day this week we'll have flash tests. We are 8 minutes late. I'm sorry, Jotun 873. We had to get set up. So I will say the things that we're going to talk about today do really lay the groundwork for a lot of the rest of the things that you will see and your ability to interact with the other things that we announce, right? So the two major things that we're going to be talking about today are the updates that are coming to the Conquest map.
Nice.
And the way that the layout's changing, some of the objectives are changing and whatnot, which is pretty exciting. And then the big one.
Yeah, a feature that I've been working on a little while now. You know, super excited. SMITE Card 2!
Yeah, baby!
No, a little feature called Aspects that no one has talked about.
Yeah,
surely.
no
Yes,
one.
aspects.
It's completely new.
Which there, we've gotten a lot of questions about this on the show. There have been some data mines. This feature has evolved tremendously from when it was first pitched internally to do the things that SMITE needs as a game.
Yeah.
Right. So we're excited to share with you the version that it's landed on here. Clumzy's been leading the whole thing. I think he's done a great job. And yeah, really excited to talk about the map and the aspects. And we're also going to hit on some of the items, not go super deep into balance, but just hit on what's going on. And then you guys will be able to play in Flash Test today, hopefully, the Conquest map and the aspects.
Yep.
And then tomorrow we'll have more new things to announce, and then the day after that we'll have more new things, and yada yada yada.
Absolutely.
So it'll be a great week. I will say we are not probably going to have a lot of time for questions today because we just have so much to get through. We'll take them as much time as we can.
Yeah.
But I just want to kind of pre-warn people, if you're just here because you want to ask a question, maybe today is not the day for you. So
Can I scummy and self-advertise?
no, do it.
I'll be streaming later today, and
There
we'll
you
answer
go.
some questions. Sometimes
Shameless self-promotion is
ESC,
what we like to call it. But
Yep.
hey.
And we do have one thing we were going to talk about before we got into the
If you missed it over the weekend, we had the Founder Series tournament happen. We've got all of our teams that qualified to Las Vegas. We actually played a couple of the round 1 matches yesterday. Triple tiebreakers before we kicked those off,
Wild.
which was insane. But as you can see here, we've got Food Drive, Team with 5 M's, Team Risks, Borscht, Smoke Break, Mockingbird, all making their way to Las Vegas in January. This is kind of how the bracket shook up, but that's just the start of this tournament, right?
Yeah, this is a double elimination tournament, which is kind of neat. So in the top half, we have 5Ms versus Food Drive. Food Drive, great showing from them. I think everybody was really impressed that this kind of more SCC talent, from the past, they've stepped up. Like, dude, I did not see all of yesterday's games because I had a thing I was doing with my daughter for Christmas, but I heard that Karmic had like a legacy game. I like what and when I was talking with those guys when they were in the studio, just like really awesome, nice group of guys. Like I was really pleased to meet them and hang out with them as like people that I was new to like getting to know in the scene. And then Smoke Break and Team Risk on the other side in the upper bracket. And then starting their run in the lower bracket, we have Mockingbird and Borscht.
Yeah. So lots of exciting esports to come in January for the Vegas LAN. But that's pretty much all that we had to prep. We've got a long show today, and chat, we know what you're here for. So give Jigby just 1 second. I will prep our handy dandy slide deck. It wouldn't be a Titan talk show with reveals without a PowerPoint. So
this is not the best PowerPoint that I've ever done.
We were talking about your PowerPoints before.
I
need more drop shadow.
I've had a lot more fun with PowerPoints in the past, but this time it was just like we just have a lot of information to get through. I'm going to throw some pictures on a page so that we have something to talk about.
Cool.
So I think that the best place to start is with Conquest. I'm sorry we're going to make you wait to hear about aspects, but I think that like this is the core of the game, and we need to make sure the core of the game feels great, and then aspects are like a layer on top of that, right? So in all the feedback we've received so far, we've heard that there's kind of a few key things that need to change about Conquest for it to feel great, right? There has to be more to do. There has to be better flow in some areas of the map. There need to be more interesting rewards for completing certain camps or objectives. Not necessarily every camp or objective, but some of them just need something better to do. There needs to be more vision, but internally, we feel like the current duration of vision wards is probably right. I know Smite 1 has vision wards that last longer. Smite 2 initially had vision wards that lasted even shorter, which was not good. We think it's in a good spot right now, but we just could do more to add vision in other ways. And there needs to be a clear emphasis on jungler as a unique role.
Yes.
Given that, let's talk about what we're actually doing.
Whole bunch of good stuff.
So in this update, we're going to have layout changes. We're going to have new jungle camps. We're going to have new jungle boss pickups and also jungle camp pickups. There are going to be breakables, which will kind of give you something to do as you're running through the map. And there's jungle time to kill changes. So a lot of big things. We're going to go through each of these one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to throw a meme in here. That's about as fancy as I got.
Without a meme.
Yeah. Okay, so Conquest layout changes. So red buff was too far away from mid lane. It didn't feel good to run to it. So we've moved it closer to mid lane and improved the pathing there. And we've also added a new camp next to it, which is the Cyclops Warrior camp. Yellow buff has been moved down, and a new camp has been added above it. And the Harpy camp has also been moved up. So you have the Cyclops Warrior camp in both places. So this is the first big change.
All right.
We're going to run around and look at all this in game in a bit.
Sure.
But I think it's better just to like give you guys the overview of like, this is everything.
Yeah.
Okay, next. We've added 2 new Harpy camps in the side lanes, kind of by the teleporters. This is what we found in our testing is that this has been great because it gives you something safe to farm if you're getting pushed in. So you don't necessarily just get quite as far behind, right?
Yeah.
There's more of a way to get back into the game. So this is like a subtle change that has made a big difference in our testing, I would say.
Yeah, and I'll also say that there's now things on the side lanes for, you know, your solos, your carries, your supports to do to not take farm from the actual jungler, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting because just by the introduction of those things, it accomplishes the goals that you've said already for sure. But it also makes sure that, like, even if you're going to use the teleporters, let's say to gank the other side, whether you're a jungler or the solo lane or dual lane, you also feel like you get a little bit of like a compensation reward if things don't go well. It's like, oh, you get these harpies, you go through the teleporter, gank doesn't really work out, you get the harpies on the side. Or even if to promote aggression, if you do get to the point where you can push the tower, you can even try and, you know, invade those ones if you don't want to go for the purple buff or if you see them going that way. It opens up just different levels of like laning and different ways to experience the side lanes, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, you know, they're concerned that the person who's ahead is just going to invade those and get further ahead. I will say that has not been what we have seen in our testing. But, you know, we're always open to feedback, right? So let's try it, see how it goes. We also have reduced the overall number of islands in the jungle to streamline the pathing. There were a lot of just like random bits and bobs that you got stuck on. So we think that it's better to run through now with the new layout. Might not be something that you really notice, but if you notice yourself getting stuck less, then we have succeeded there. Yeah. Jungle camp changes. Okay, so our new camps, our Cyclops Warrior camps, are going to drop a new pickup type that is placed into one of your consumable slots. The Cyclops camp drops a Cyclops ward, which functions like a normal ward for now. So there will be a way to get ward pickups on the map by killing this camp. Yeah. So another source of vision without necessarily needing to go back to base. And also, we think that this will help low-level games where people just don't buy wards. And really, you have to get pretty high level in Smite before people start buying wards. Like, a lot of people in chat are high-level ward buyers, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
But low-level games, you just don't see a lot of wards. So just having a little bit more free vision on the map, right? Yeah. Somebody's like, oh, they literally ripped the eye out of the Cyclops and they made it into a ward. That's metal.
Pretty messed up.
It's pretty messed up, but hey, I love it, right? It's thematically cool, right?
And the other thing that it says there for now is like, you know, they function like normal wards for now. There's always things that we want to iterate on, so we're really excited to see with all of these new features how you guys feel about them, and you know, we're always willing to play around, have some more fun.
Yep. Then next we have the Scorpion camp drops a Eye of the Jungle. Activating it will ping all enemy locations on the map once. It also adds more XP and gold, but is harder to defeat. I will say 2 things. First off, obviously the floor isn't done in this screenshot. Yeah. This is just showing you kind of like what it looks like. This is a ping. It doesn't tell you who is where. So it's not like you're like, oh, well, I see this person is in this position. It's just like somebody is on the map in this location.
Yeah.
And we have a video.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask
of
if you have
a
that little
play test.
Oh, this was a lot of fun.
And videos in PowerPoint.
This is a real playtest.
This is a real playtest. Oh, you gotta turn the volume.
Yeah. Full screen it. Boom.
You get the volume.
All right.
Is volume up? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Nice.
All right. We'll let the video play so you all see an example.
They're in that
They're
bush.
sitting in the bush. They're in the
Yeah.
They didn't know that we picked
Got
them.
'em.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
You can
They're on
like
the
Devil.
And that's important too. So for context, what you saw there is someone used the consumable item. You saw the pings going off. They're all in one centralized location, which was in that bush by the fire giant. And as Rose
They're
said,
in that
They're
bush.
sitting in the bush.
they don't know. They have no idea that we're using
They didn't know that we picked
Got
them.
'em.
They have no idea.
Great.
You can,
Yeah.
I love Travis's. Got him.
That was a lot of
Great.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really neat, like, kind of strategic thing that is fun. You got to pick your right moment to use it. It's been really great in our playtest internally, and we're excited to see how you all interact with it. So, another fun addition to the map. Next, one of the even spicier ones, if we can change the slide. Oh, no, not next. I'm sorry. We should go to the next one, but I thought it was the next slide, but it's not. It's later on.
Cool.
Okay, so we've added roaming harpies to the jungle. So up to 2 will spawn in each quadrant of the jungle. Again, just something to do. Jungle camps are also now harder to kill. Without the starter item, it will take 16 to 19 seconds on average in the early game. With the starter item, it'll take about 10 seconds, which is similar to how it feels in the current patch. Can you take our cameras off again? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Chad.
My bad.
Chad is mad at us.
My bad, Chad.
So if you buy the jungle starter items, you will be able to clear jungle camps quickly. If you do not buy the jungle starter items, you will have to invest more of your time into doing it, right? And at the end of the day, MOBAs are trading time for resources, right? That's what the game is all about, right? And the investment that you had to put into to get a jungle resource was not commensurate with, with each other in the past. So we think this is going to be a big update for the game. Next. Jungle boss pickup. This is the spicy one I thought was next. The fire giant will now also drop the obsidian dagger, a special type of pickup. It has a limited duration in your inventory, so try to use it before it expires. This pickup can be stolen by the enemy team, so be sure to grab it. It will also be dropped on death.
Spicy.
So what does it do?
Pretty
With
spicy.
all of those stipulations, it's got to be a pretty sick effect, right?
Yes. When used, it deals 500 true damage to the user, but grants 15% more damage and attack speed for 6 seconds. 15% damage and attack speed is huge, by the way. If it were to kill the user, instead revive the user to full health. And they do get the buff when they revive for 6 seconds.
Yes, that's important too.
So technically a second life, if you time it right, if you try and wait too long and you just get blown up, then you don't get the second life.
That has happened.
There's risk and reward to if you hold on to it or not. And then if you don't use it in time and you just die with it, then it's on the ground and anybody else can pick it up.
Yes.
So it is a winner. Are you going to risk it? Are you going to try and time it right? It's pretty sick. There's a video. I don't remember what the actual
I don't
video
know
is.
this one either.
Let's play it.
Let's
See what
see.
happens.
Oh, this is just an example video.
Oh, okay.
So this is just Ymir uses it, and this is the resurrection. I think we've definitely had some updates since then, but yeah, effectively that's the gameplay of it. So you're not going to be using this at full health. You want to be using, unless you just want the buff for itself. That is still very valuable.
Yeah, and 15% damage can be a
it's something
lot.
to sneeze at, for
right?
sure.
Like
But the fact that you get the buff after the resurrect, you're really going to be trying to save this to get that second life.
Yeah, so it's an interesting skill level, a skill expression moment. It's not just you get a free second life for somebody, and I don't know. It's been really neat in our playtest. Yeah. So if people like this, we're going to keep looking at more of this kind of thing in the future, but we're pretty excited about it so far. Cool. So a lot of huge stuff so far in Conquest.
I know.
Do we have another Conquest slide, or is that the last?
No, we've got more.
Oh, we got more. Okay. Oh, breakables. We didn't talk about breakables yet.
Of course.
Oh,
But wait, there's more.
There's
more.
So now around the Gold Fury pit, there's going to be pots and jars that contain gold that spawn there, which makes sense because that's what a Gold Fury would have. When you walk over it or break it with an attack or an ability, it'll give you a little bit of gold. It's not a lot of gold. Silver pots give you 2 or 3 gold. Gold pots give you 10 or 20 gold. It's just while you're running through the map, it feels good to have something to do. If you're in the area, you can get a little bit of gold.
And there's always been so much gold lying in the environment about Gold Fury. It's time that she shared a little bit, right? So
Right,
just like,
yeah.
It feels good to just walk through them and not even have to like basic attack them. I think that's one of the important parts.
Yep. And then next,
These are
fire
good too.
giant
Oh my gosh.
pit. Fragments of the fire giant's power will fall into the fire giant pit. Breaking these will grant +2 strength and intelligence permanently. These do have a long respawn time. So a player could end up, we think, with like 10 or 20 strength and intelligence by the end of a match if they're kind of optimizing this. But it gives you something else to be getting, right?
Yeah.
Something else to do. We found that like in a third-person action MOBA, the way we are, downtime is the enemy, right? Like you need to have something to do at all times, right? And it's very easy to go too far and overwhelm people with too complicated of mechanics, which I think some of the later seasons of Smite did in some ways, right? I think they were really fun if you were a super hardcore player. But I think all of these things just give you something else you can be doing, which is nice.
It also just helps you like fill the time between rotations. Like if it makes it feel less bad when you go for a gank or you go for an invade and things don't really work out and you're in these areas of just like vast emptiness where they're just like, okay, well, I almost rather just go back to base to just speed us. Like, well, actually now there's these small like moments of opportunities that if you're keeping an eye out for will give you incremental advantages throughout the game. That's important.
I think this next one might be actually the last one.
Yes,
for
the next one is the last one for Conquest.
So again, this is on the same topic of breakables. Helpful jungle wisps roam through the jungle that you can seek out for some quick healing. If you pick up just running into one of these wisps, you'll get 1% max health regeneration for 10 seconds, so you get 10% of your health back. So if you're getting pushed out in lane, maybe you're better off trying to find a wisp rather than going all the way back to base sometimes.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I had this happen like literally in just our last playtest. We were running away from a Phoenix Siege, and on our way back, I was a little bit scared. Saw one of these, and I felt less scared after picking it up.
Yeah. So we think it's all these things combined to make Conquest feel pretty good, pretty new, pretty different. We think we addressed kind of the main concerns around Conquest with this update.
Is this dev or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Isaiah's going to jump into Conquest in dev just to run around for a second so you guys can
I've got
see
it
all
hit in
this.
chat. No spoilers.
I didn't even look. I was like staring at him like,
oh, no,
wait
no,
a second.
no.
I didn't even check this side. I was just like, oh,
Look,
God.
we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff this week. Can't spoil it just yet, but yes, I am getting ready.
At the same time, I'm like, you know what? Whatever you want to do, I trust you.
Right?
Let's go.
Yeah, it's like, hey, just ship it, you know?
Yeah. So I will say, like, you know, this is going to be flash tested today again, so give us your feedback. There are some questions about certain interactions with how does Fire Giant Dagger Res work with Kepriel? I don't know. I'm not sure. I didn't program it.
That's a good
and I haven't seen it
question.
come
Yeah,
up.
that is a great
So if there's edge cases that don't feel good, let us know and we'll fix it. I think we reacted really quickly to fix a lot of the concerns people had about CC buffering.
Yeah.
Similarly, we want to be doing that with. That's why we're flash testing all this stuff. It's big changes.
Yeah.
We are loading into games, so stall for me for 30 seconds or so.
Yes. This is just Conquest. I will say one of the things that was a big community request, which obviously this doesn't have, is a big art overhaul, right? As we've said previously, our environment art team has been working like crazy to get Joust and Duel looking sick for the January update.
Yeah.
I do believe it is looking sick, and that will be a topic of a future show this week.
Yes.
So we will be talking and showing off that map later this week. So that's exciting news. There's a lot of cool new stuff about that map as well. But didn't have the resources to update Conquest to be an all-new art set and do Joust and Duel.
Yeah.
I think the question for us now as a dev team is like, is the next environment art thing we focus on a Conquest update, or is it we do a custom art Assault? Because Assault is going to be on a cut-down version of the Conquest map, as we've said previously. So still needed to decide that. Servers were being a little weird this morning in our internal testing, so it's possible that we won't actually get to run around and show you.
We'll keep it loaded here for maybe a couple more seconds to see if we can get it. But if not,
maybe we just should go to aspects and then come back to Conquest, because I'm not sure if
it's
this
like,
is
can
going
you
to
just
load.
keep this going in the background?
let's see here.
Or would that be a pain?
I will pull up. That way we don't lose a whole lot of our time. I'm going to refresh because I know this presentation is in active development.
Falcus the Horus Pleaser asks, do I read chat? Yes, we read chat. That's why we do the show live.
Call it out specifically. Nice.
I don't necessarily read every line because I'm trying to talk and read at the same time, so I'm not the best at multitasking, but we do read chat. We do respond as much as we can.
Oh, shit.
Today we have so much to talk about, though, that we aren't going to answer as many questions as we normally
All
do.
right.
But
let's
now
go
it's
through
time for something special.
Yeah, you can do the starting.
You want me to do- I'll
You're
do-
way better at introducing new features than I am.
I'm good at getting excited.
All right,
about this,
cool.
I don't know. Okay, so introducing aspects. So one of the core goals of Smite 2 has been, how do we give you new ways to play your favorite gods? Sometimes in more roles, sometimes just different ways in the roles that they work good. This is one of the big goals of when we introduce strength and int scaling, and we move power into active items that let you explore new builds and do new fun things with gods, right? We want to push this even further. That's the reason why we came up with the system in the first place. That's why Clumzy came up with the system in the first place. Clumzy has been pushing for this, and he went through a lot of different versions of this, but this is where we ended up. So this system, the goal is to give players a choice that alters their god's kit and enables new play styles. A big element of this is that this is not a +1 on top of a +1.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. There is a trade-off for selecting an aspect. And we'll get into more of them in a second, but I just wanted to lay that ground rule at the start, right? Because I think some of the earlier designs we were playing with was like, oh, well, do you have people can pick between different smaller changes on top of their god? And, and we were like, I think it's more fun and it's more interesting and it's more balanced if it's a choice where it's, there's a trade-off between, do you want to play the normal god or do you want to play the aspect, which does something different, which we're going to go into. And our expectation is that both the normal god kit and the aspect will be viable for different builds, roles, and matchups, right? So it's not like we didn't want to. Normally, when it's like a binary choice between like, do you want this plus or that plus? People will say, oh, I want this plus because it's better in the pro world, and I think it's better everywhere, right? So this should feel more like an actual choice.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you hit all like the main bullet points, and I think it just really what were the different ways that we can push aspects? Did we want to make sure that they were role focused, they were playstyle focused? We wanted to make sure that we kind of hit a lot of different points for each of the gods that are going to be introduced for. And the trade-off thing I think is really important, because we always want to make sure that when we're porting over the gods from SMITE 1 to SMITE 2 that we are still introducing these +1 features for everyone, right? And then when the aspects came in, if we started choosing like, 2 different ones per one god, but that kind of diluted the idea of these +1s, and you started to having like, this SMITE 1 ports over, but this aspect kind of had this one idea and the other one had the other, but we really wanted to just make sure that everyone got something interesting and exciting, and then this was just an additional way to play these gods on top of that, if you want to, because sometimes maybe you just don't want to think about it. Maybe it's too complicated. Maybe it's just not the way that you like playing this god, but someone else might like playing the god in this way, and that's kind of what this opportunity helped us get to.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to go on to the next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, I wasn't sure how much else this is.
So do you want to talk through what they actually are? I changed your words a little bit, but I think...
No, go for it.
Okay. So what actually are they? So this is an optional choice for gods. You will select during the god selection phase in the match lobby.
Yes.
You either pick the god with their normal kit, or you select the aspect, which has a trade-off. So it's binary choice. You're either normal god or you're the aspect version of the god. These aspects are generally going to focus on one or two clear components of a god's kit. We wanted to make sure that it didn't feel like a completely different god, right? But more that there's a big new twist on how you're playing the god and playing against the god. I will say, like, there's somebody in chat says, this seems exciting. I'm worried from a balance point of view. They'll always, without a doubt, be a best choice. I think when you see these, you'll see that they're intending to do very different things. So yes, there may become you're more likely to see a god with an aspect enabled.
Exactly.
But if you want to do a certain thing with the god, then you may want the aspect or you may want the normal version.
This will be very apparent when it comes to some of these aspects. We're going to easily point to that one and be like, I have one in my mind. It's pretty early on. I'm like, you're not going to choose this aspect if you want to play the god in their normal default function. If you want to play them in a different role or something, that may be the case. That being said, some of these are playstyle shifters, not role shifters, and we want to spread those out very intentionally. And if that's the case, it's okay. Items, gods, strength, intelligence, whatever metas may shape, these are just another balance mechanism that we can play around with, that is just going to be expanding what you can do as a player in SMITE 2, and then we as the devs will make sure that like it's not going to feel stale. That's always the ever living goal in a free to play like games of service.
Oh, I should mention this really quickly because there's a question for this. How many diamonds will we need to spend to get aspects? They're free. You're just going to get the aspects. This is not you have to have the god. But if you have the god, then their aspect is unlocked. So sorry, I didn't. Definitely don't want anybody to think this is us trying to make money or anything. No, there's just more ways to play the game. So
you have to tweet out a pet picture every time.
Yeah.
Let me see that on the TL.
Cool. Well, shall we start talking about?
I think I had like
one more.
Go back.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, real quick. I will say on
great.
initial release, we're going to be shipping 20 aspects so half of the roster will have an aspect, and we plan to add more over time.
Yes.
So just be excited. But we wanted to start with a smaller group, and then we can take learnings from those and roll it out to the rest of the roster.
And the usual last preamble as well, like, a lot of these are coming in. They're really exciting. There's going to be some things, whether you've seen the flash tests or beforehand, that aren't fully finalized. Some of the numbers, some of the ideas you see here might end up getting changed.
Right.
That's just how, development works.
And the last thing I'm going to answer, just chat question before we get there, is how will you know? Do you want to talk through where? I don't think we have any screenshots.
We might not have a screenshot for it, no. But when you're in the match lobby, there's basically 3 different sections that you can see the aspects. In the match lobby, you'll be able to choose your god, and once you've chosen a god, you'll be able to choose whether you want to turn that aspect on or off. In the actual god preview screen outside of the actual match as well, you'll be able to click gods. You'll be able to see their aspects there as well. Right now, I think there's an issue where they might not work in jungle practice, but we're working on fixing that. And then when you're in the game as well, you'll be able to hit the tab or scoreboard, whatever keybind you have for that one, and you'll be able to see everyone's aspects, what they have, whether they have it on. You'll be able to hover and select over those in the scoreboard as well to see your teammates and the enemies one. But for seeing the enemies' perspectives, you won't be able to actually know until you're in the game itself, and that's specifically designed that way.
Yeah. So, and as soon as you get in the game, you can open up the scoreboard, and you can see what aspect they have. You don't have to get vision of the god to see what aspect they have.
That's
so
right there from minute 0.
Yeah. And then the idea is that, again, just to reiterate, every god, 20 of the gods will have one aspect to start.
Yes.
Then we'll roll them out to the rest of the gods. And then maybe at some point in the future we could add a second aspect or something.
The system was designed to have more than one if we ever want to.
Yeah.
But we really just want to make sure we start with just one, see how it goes, and roll from there.
Yep,
All right.
exactly. All right, so let's get into them.
All right,
Yes.
first up,
slides for all
on her.
20 of these.
I'm gonna pull up our cams to see.
Also,
God.
no one has actually
Yeah.
read through any of these descriptions and titles, so some of the names are a bit fun. But honor, the aspect of pride. Yeah, so this one is you're gonna see a little blurb. This one's the same role, different play style. Honor Enfeeble, which is the passive, no longer debuffs enemies with that the shred, but instead dealing damage to the same enemy god with basic attack specifically will increase your attack speed per stack. Some of these give you an exact number of how much, but up to 100% bonus attack speed. So this is really you're on her. You want to just be dueling the one person in front of you. You want to be focusing down on that one person. But as soon as you switch, you're going to be losing that attack speed and starting from 0.
Yeah. So again, this is I would say this is on the lower end of craziness for the
This is a good one to start off.
But we would call this one a simple one.
Yes. So it gives you an idea of what we can do here, right?
Yeah.
So this is again, you're still going to be playing that same kind of carry role, right? But it's how are you playing on her with this is different than the way you would have been playing on her before.
If you miss a basic attack, it's okay, but if you hit another god, I think, or any other enemy target, so even if you switch to an enemy minion, it will instantly remove your stacks. You'll get one lingering last basic attack, and these stacks last 4 seconds. They are short periods of time, but you can stack them up pretty quick, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, as Tail Lover says, the shred is better for team fights, the aspect is better for dueling, right? How do you want to play?
And this is on enemy gods, so you're not going to be getting this bonus on Gold Fury. I tried it was way too good.
All right, next up we have Athena.
This is the one that I was talking
Spicy.
about. Right, so as you can see here, roll shift, bruiser jungler, Athena, the aspect of war, defender of Olympus, the ultimate, now targets visible enemy and gods instead of allies. You don't do any landing damage, but while you're channeling on that enemy god, they also take increased damage. So this is not one you're likely going to pick up on the support side, but maybe you will. Maybe if you're Guardian, you want to do that, you will. But if you're going more of an offensive Athena, now I choose you. I'm on my way.
And you also you can no longer target allies. Right?
Yes,
it's not just
this is a pure trade-off.
Yes, so it's complete trade-off. You have to make that decision. Do you want to play this god this way or this way, right? And this is what I'm talking about with these. It's not just it's a +1 on top of a +1. It's there's a pro and a con for this. And if you're going to pick this aspect, it's changing the way that you play the game. Yeah, it's still the god you know and love, but with a big change.
Yeah,
all right.
And that gives a good example between the playstyle shifts and the role shifts. Playstyle shifts, maybe if you love on her, but you don't want to think about just choosing one person, you may choose the default. Or if you're Athena, you want to play in certain roles, you may not choose this aspect, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's for different slices for different.
And I think we actually have a video of this one.
Oh, you put it in right? Oh, nice.
I put it in the right place, just because.
Awesome, that's appreciated. So yeah, you can see there, I cut the cutoff on my side was a little bit awkward, but there you go.
That's
you
it.
can't choose that ally, but you can choose that enemy.
Yeah.
And you're on the way.
Fun little just shows you how it works.
All right.
And videos, Bacchus. I like this one.
Oh yeah, we just tried this out. Bacchus, the aspect of revelry, a little bit of a roll shift one here too, pivoting in more towards the bruiser jungle. After you use your chug, while you have that buff active, your in-hand attacks cleave and deal bonus damage scaling with strength instead of protections for that short duration. So yeah, I would actually kind of expect you, if you want to try this out in the jungle, you actually start maxing this out and going strength in-hand damage Bacchus build. Or if you want that cleave for extra damage in solo lane, that's possible too. But remember, it's scaling off of your strength, not protections, so you need to be building accordingly towards that.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I love Bacchus.
Yeah,
and this is this makes Bacchus solo a lot more doable as well. Like I know it's like we say bruiser jungler, like it does work jungle, but like Bacchus solo is something I tried to make work a lot of times over the years, and now it kind of works.
All right, next up, Bologna.
Bologna, this one went through some pivots, but it went to a really good spot, so I'm really excited about this one. Aspect of Vindication. Roll shift more towards the support Bologna. Bludgeon no longer deals any of that final slam damage for accumulating enemy god hits during the spin, but whenever you gain block stacks from your sword and shield stance, or any healing from your scourge stance, nearby allied gods also gain those benefits. So that means if you hit enemy gods with your first ability, or if you start basic attack them while you have that sword and shield active, and you gain block stacks, nearby enemy gods, and nearby in this case is ranged basic attack range, so that's 8.8 meters, and this is all going to be in the descriptions. Ooh, I want to get to that in a second too. Will gain those block stacks, and if you gain some healing, they'll gain the healing too. So you can go like an attack speed, cooldown based support build. It would actually be pretty good. And what I don't want to say, so the other thing that's really useful about these aspects, going back towards the system as well, is that when you do choose to select the aspect, your ability tooltips will change, and all those descriptions and information will change for your abilities too. So if you were to see this one, for example, you'd hover over your second ability, the spot where it say like final slam damage will just be gone. That'll be completely replaced with the new information with the aspects.
Good to know. Good to know. All right.
Does a lot of work from the UI team, and
this I just will say this is one of my most favorite ones. I think it's simple but completely changes the way you want to play it, right? And it's a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, next up we've got Kernanos.
Kernanos, so this one's really cool too. Aspect of Strife, roll shift, jungle bruiser here too. Your basic attacks no longer fire ranged projectiles. They are
no longer ranged projectiles. You no longer have ranged projectiles as Kernanos.
But instead, your cleaving attacks from your heavy glaive do full damage to all of those cleave targets and apply all of the Shifter of Seasons effects to all the enemies hit. In addition, Horn Charge's cooldown is reduced by I think around 4 seconds whenever you hit an enemy god. So the thing that's important there as well, because we play this with some of the ambassadors and the pros and stuff. When you do the heavy cleave, heavy glaive cleaving damage, you're not doing full damage to all those targets. And also, if you're not talking about the aspect, the projectile of the basic attack is the only thing that's actually applying the Shifter of Seasons ability 1 effects. So this is completely new. You're getting cleaving protection shred, cleaving bonus damage, cleaving slow, cleaving heals by being able to do this.
And I will. It's not all of the Shifter of Seasons effects. Whichever one you have active is applied
that's
to
a really
all
good point
targets.
too. Yes, exactly.
The wording on this is a little confusing, but
someone remind me to. I can go back and
it's the active Shifter of Season effect to all enemies hit.
Yes, exactly. Right. Good point. Good point.
Yeah, not as busted as you maybe initially.
All right. Next up, we have Chalk.
It's a simple aspect of Fulmination. Same role, new playstyle. I would still expect you to see this in some sort of damage bruisery Chalk builds, but Rain Dance no longer heals you. It damages you enemies instead.
It's that acid rain.
Yep, it's that acid rain, exactly. So that means if you use your 3 and it's falling around you, it's going to be dealing damage at the time. But also, if you use the 1 to create the rain deployable and you have your own one around you, you can double up that damage as well, just like you would be.
I didn't even think of that.
It's pretty good.
This is a very what is Jordan's? I can't read it. It's
just come in, Jordan.
Jordan, what do you say?
What do you got?
Try the queue again. If you guys
try the queue again.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. So I will say this was, of all of the aspects, we tried to think of other things for Chalk, and everybody's like, the range should just deal damage. And anytime you ask anybody, they were like, the range should deal damage. We're like, okay, the range just deals damage. I guess that's it.
Sometimes it's a no-brainer. Sometimes some of these are really hard to come up with unique ideas, and sometimes it's just like, no, this is what you're doing. I'm like, oh, sick, easy.
Yep. And for people that are joining late, aspects are, again, it's a choice. You're either playing the default version of the god, or you're playing this aspect shifted version of the god.
Yes.
So it's either you have the normal rain for Chalk, or you have this rain.
Yeah. I know this sounds really silly and almost too simple, but sometimes you'll find it very hard to remember that you have some of these effects in the terms of we were playing with one of the pros, I'm not going to name any names, and just oh, I forgot that I'm not going to heal anymore. That's such a fundamental part of who Chalk is, although the passive now heals you a little bit. So maybe you need to change your game. If you still want healing, go Phoenix Shield, go Phoenix Time, go these things that may be able to push that side that you may be missing, but play into the new aspect. I mean, that's the main goal of these. Just don't forget what you're losing in these trade-offs.
Yep. All right, next up we've got Cupid.
Cupid, the aspect of love. Heart Bomb's damage is decreased on both the initial hit and the AoE, but the enemy that's hit has reduced attack speed while it's on them, and the explosion area heals allies that are inside that explosion area. Also, if at 8 stacks of Love Struck, which is the passive, the allies in that explosion area also gain a health shield. So this is really pushing that support Cupid, and now with Arrow's bow, this is really fully viable if it wasn't viable even without both of those things.
Yeah, I think that the support Cupid is a interesting angle for Cupid in New Smite 2 world, and I think that this, makes it even more viable.
Yeah. I know people who, without Arrow's bow or this, that were already trying it out, and I love seeing that. Like now, you can really push that, and it'll be even more viable.
That's great. All right, next up, Danzabudo.
This one's probably wild. This might be the wildest one. And I'm very, very excited about it, just like I was to introduce that passive. So Aspect of Fellowship. Same role, you're still going to be playing as some sort of hunter. If you like that passive, you're going to like this even more. The Alluring Spirits from his second ability no longer throws out the sake bottle, but instead, you spawn 2 clones, one to your left, one to your right. Also, all of your clones, so from the 2 and from the passive, deal more damage and take less damage. So this is just the clone army playstyle. It's a lot of trickery. It's almost, you could call it like an attack speed stim, but you're losing out a CC for it. You do gain that healing from the first part of drinking your sake, of course. He's not going to not drink his sake.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's a big trade-off because you're losing a great CC ability.
The CC zoning tool. It's even got that slow to it. But yeah, instant clones on demand.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Fenrir.
Aspect of Loyalty. We've known Fenrir can also kind of pivot into that support role, so we wanted to play around with that some more. This one's more on the simple side too. Brutalize, the third ability, does less damage, but applies a stacking slow per hit. Seething Howl, the second ability, is the buff effects are decreased for you specifically, but to all allies are going to be gaining the buff effect now. So now everyone around you is going to be gaining that strength and lifesteal. Everyone around you is going to be stronger just in general.
Yeah, and we showed this to some pros, and they were like, So would I ever not pick this if I was going to play support Fenrir? I don't know, maybe not, but maybe you wouldn't not pick it. But it's supposed to make it more clear that Fenrir is a good support to players that maybe don't know.
He's such a good boy,
right? Like one of the things that's confusing to players is like, but how do I know that Fenrir is a good support if you're a new player? And it's like, well, now we have a role that very clearly says, oh, I can pick this aspect, and then it does things to my allies. That's great. Okay, I'll do this.
Next up on the aspect list is Geb. Surprise!
Oh yeah. Sorry,
I forgot about. Yeah, we haven't actually shown this.
Yeah. So we haven't actually shown Geb yet. We are going to be showing off Geb later this week. He's got some.
I'm gonna be on there.
Yeah, Clumzy's gonna be back later.
This one was exciting. Hindu Man was alluding to it earlier. This one's fun too. But anyways, the actual aspect of Calamity, kind of leaning onto that Bruiser Nuka playstyle. Shockwave, the second ability, is no longer just a cone. It's a full circle, and it deals full damage all around you in that big old circle.
Oh yeah.
Additionally, the cooldown is decreased for every enemy it hits. Real good. If you're doing this in lane, if you're doing this in non-conquest game modes, little like spoil there that we've talked about. Yeah, you're hitting a lot of people. You're getting like 2-second shockwaves.
This will go nasty.
It's a lot of fun.
I was when we were talking with some pros about this, they were like, I think Geb mid might be a thing, and like they were just looking at these. They hadn't played them yet, but they were like, man, Geb mid with this might work. So it's pretty sick. You got to try it. We got to see how it feels. So one of the reasons why this and Conquest are the first things that we're covering for the big patch, right, is because we need to start flash testing this stuff now and see how it actually feels, right? Like internally, stuff can feel really good, and then externally, people can find a slightly different build or a slightly different strategy of using it that makes things just go nutty. So it's really important that we get eyes on this stuff soon.
I'm fully expecting for us to need to, like, whether it's QA testing from you guys or like bug fixes or just balance fixes. These are a new component to the game that we plan to obviously be supporting forever. Yeah. We're going to be looking to fix things, balance things, do whatever we need to do to make sure they feel good from now until always.
Absolutely. Next up on the list is Hecate.
This one's pretty crazy.
This one is nutty.
Yeah. Aspect of Ruin. Role shift, support utility. Let's add mages to like a play shift style. I've tried this in the mid lane a few times. It's still pretty darn good. Spell Eater, the second ability, can no longer be refired. It doesn't do any of the charging mechanics it does currently. But instead, everyone in the AoE, the enemy's ability damage is reduced. But also, every time an ability is cast from the enemies, a projectile tracks and lands at their location.
Yeah.
It's pretty
good.
good.
Dodgeable.
It is dodgeable. It's a little bit fast right now. Flare Boot's like, I have nightmares of this one because because I did play it and I did bully him in mid lane. That is true. And so the way it works is that it was a 6. This is actually for Flare Boot specifically. It was 6 seconds. Now it's 4 seconds. I nerfed it. And there's a 0.5 second internal cooldown, which means at most there's only 8 projectiles flying. Only 8 projectiles flying out over the 4 seconds. But it is spread out a little bit. And there's a lot of balance mechanisms. We can make sure that these feel better. And it was intentionally designed more of that support utility side. I think you can probably find some success in the mid.
Yeah, for sure. Next up on the list, Hercules.
Aspect of preservation. So this is to role shift him a little bit more to support utility side, which we have seen, but a little bit more on the healing and protective side rather than just being an aggressive one. Mitigate wounds, the third ability, no longer heals you based on the damage taken or provides any attack speed, but instead you gain a stack of mitigate wounds whenever you or an allied god takes damage from basic attacks only, and when the ability ends, all those stacks are expended to heal yourself and the nearby allied gods. So really good into high basic attack damage comps, really good for when you want to do this in an AoE to really protect your teammates. Not so good in a solo stance, or if you just want like big bursts of healing and just being in the thick of it by yourself.
Yeah, so you don't get the initial heal on pushing the button, but you are healed.
You do get the initial heal, but you don't get the heal at the end based on damage taken. It's purely based on basic attack damage taken from you and allies, and you also don't get the attack speed buff. So those are the trade-offs.
All right, who's next up on the list? I wonder. It's Capri.
Oh, this one's fun. Aspect of laceration. So this is a role shift, switching him to be more bruiser damage based. Abduct no longer pulls. You're not taking anyone anywhere. Instead, you and that enemy are sticking right there in that same spot, and Capri is slashing that enemy several times for constant basic attack damage.
He's giving you just a nice long hug, you know?
And basic attack damage, which means you can crit if you want to go crit Capri. It is a thing. If you want to chin size them to death, you give them the deadly hug.
Yeah, this is a unexpected one. But it actually kind of works. You gotta give it a try. See what you think.
This is one of the ones that is less good in non-conquest game modes, because the more people that are around you and you're not going anywhere, you don't really have the time or the capacity to just sit on someone while they're and then just slash them to death and not be moving. That being said, I've also heard people say have said that they don't value the pull components of it, in which case this is technically always really good because you're gaining more damage than you ever could have gotten before. That being said, the pull is really good. I wouldn't downplay that. So, you know.
All right, next up on the list, Loki.
This one's wild. I'll have a little.
I feel like we've said that for almost every
I'll have
one
a
of
post-amble on this one. Aspect of concealment. Role shift, probably more towards the support utility. That being said, if you're coordinated with your teammates, you can probably do this in other roles too. Vanish no longer debuffs enemies you hit with that bleed attack. Instead, you stealth the nearest allied god with exactly the same kind of stealth as you yourself get. So post-amble, I think this one's going to be one of the highest skill floor / skill ceiling ones. I don't think this is going to be very easy to use for a lot of cases. That being said, when you do use it, you do have a little bit of coordination and communication with people that are on the same wavelength as you. It'll be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the plays with like actual coordinated team comps around.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's always just the closest allied god. You can't target it. If somebody accidentally walks closer to you when you push the button, too bad. It's the closest one.
That's right.
So there's a little bit of coordination to use it. Again, you don't get the bleed on the Vanish damage, which is a substantial part of his damage. So it might still be too good, but we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and just because someone mentioned as well, there is obviously a range on this. It's not going to travel to someone that's across the map. In these aspect descriptions, because these are the same ones that you'd see in game, we tried to make sure that they're short and concise. And then when you actually see the ability descriptions for the abilities that have changed, you'll see a lot more information. You'll be able to check the advanced tooltips and hover over them to get even more information as well.
All right, next up.
It's one singular additional ally. Yes. God.
Next up, we have Mordred.
Mordred, aspect of rage, same role, new playstyle.
I double.
Yep, Mordred. That's right.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Ignore the Vanish no longer debuffs.
It's okay. I probably know which one this one is. So this one is shoulder charge. No longer. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to listen real close this time. No reading. Shoulder charge. His passive no longer stops on the first enemy god. It goes through them, and it also doesn't knock them up. So that's actually I went backwards on it. It no longer knocks up enemy gods, but it goes through them and doesn't stop on them instead. Oh, also, because this is the main benefit, is that if you use an ability, it resets the cooldown of shoulder charge. So that means you can shoulder charge, use your ability 1, shoulder charge, use your ability 2, shoulder charge, use your ability 3, shoulder charge. Use your ability 4 if you've got it as well. You can get multiple shoulder charges all in one ability rotation. Pretty crazy.
Feel good to weave those shoulder charges.
Yeah, if you liked ability procking items, well, this is the right aspect for you.
Yeah, and the Loki text is a typo. I made this slideshow this morning. It should start where it says shoulder charge. So Shoulder charge.
Oh, there is some of it.
Back
Okay,
up one more
sorry.
time. Sorry.
I did it on top of my head.
Yeah, shoulder charge no longer knocks up enemy gods
There we
and deals
go.
reduced damage, but now passes through enemy gods. Additionally, damaging an enemy god with an ability resets the cooldown of shoulder charge. Hit. But instead, stealth. Oh, no. Yeah.
No,
hit.
that's it.
There you go.
That's it. That's where it
Yeah.
stops.
That's it.
Yeah. So apologies, I accidentally pasted that in the middle of the Loki description.
No worries, no worries.
I
Next
am
up,
now fired.
Neat.
Aspect of Wind. Same rule, new playstyle. Broken Weave explosions no longer root enemies. So this is specifically with the passive explosions. The ability one still will root. And the buff that usually lasts 30 seconds has a reduced duration. However, the attack speed that you gain from this buff is much, much higher. And additionally, if you use your ultimate, World Weaver, it provides you stacks of Broken Weave of this like attack speed steroid immediately. So this is not for need support, but more for an in-hand basic attack focus need rather than like the ability focus need that you guys have been seeing for a long time.
All right, next up we've got Nemesis.
This is a crazy one.
This one's we've been talking about this one. Aspect of Justice, same role, new playstyle. Divine Judgment, which is the ultimate, no longer does any of the current HP damage in an area, but instead you choose one single enemy god, you hit them, and it averages the HP between the two of you, as long as you have less than the target. Because I did need to mention that you are not going to be healing your enemies if you're above health. You need to be below the enemy that you're choosing, and then it averages them, both of you guys, to the center amount.
Yeah, so you can be at like 5% hit points and you target somebody at 100% hit
Yep,
points.
and you guys are both going to basically 50.
Yep.
All right.
It's
Rob.
not a health swap, though, because I know a lot of people have seen this from other games, too. Many, many different ones. You are not swapping your health, because that would be... That's real nutty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I was not okay with that.
Ra's up next, and then another one ambassadors we're really excited about.
Thermotherapy. It's the healing through heat. Yeah,
Oh.
so I was just like,
When I pasted that today, I was like, what the hell
What
is
is
this
that
word?
word?
Yeah, I don't know what this means. But
It just was so like on the nose that I'm like, this is one of the ones where I was like, I was just having fun with this one. Roll shift to support utility. Probably can still use this in the mage role, but not as easily. Solar blessing, which is your third ability, and your ultimate only deal base damage with no scaling, none of the current stuff. So that's the big trade-off. You're losing a lot of damage. In return, solar blessing, the third ability, can be placed on allied gods, attaching to them, including yourself. And Searing Pain also heals allies on hits. A big important thing here is that Searing Pain during the channel time, you'll also be able to move your aim of this ability as well to make it a little bit easier to heal those allies.
That's a good one. All right.
this is the one I wanted the most.
Yeah.
Just saying. This was
The
from the
raw
beginning.
one?
I was
Yeah,
like,
the
I was
raw
like,
one,
let
yeah,
me
for
snipe
sure.
people to heal them with
Yeah.
raw.
Yes. Thanatos, Aspect of Reaping. Did I nerf this one? I think I nerfed it. Yeah, I nerfed this one. Okay, good. Roll Shift Bruiser. Harvester of Souls, which is the passive, no longer provides you any of the healing that you would usually get from God Kills and Assists. Instead, you gain permanent max health over time. And we're talking about 1.5 from minions, which was nerfed, and 25 from gods. I'm saying those numbers specifically because I nerfed them because someone was playing it and it was really, really good from one of the pros. It was inbound, I think. Yeah. Additionally, Soul Reap, which is the third ability, deals bonus damage and heals Thanatos based on your max health. So over time, you're gaining more bonus damage and healing using your third ability based on how many things you've been farming throughout the game.
All right. I believe we're nearing the end here.
I think this might be the last one.
And the last
Okay.
one is definitely a good one.
Yes, the Morrigan, Aspect of Mischief, same role, new playstyle. Confusion, your third ability, no longer stealths you, but now you can refire it and you swap positions to wherever the clone is. So as long as that clone is there, you are going exactly there. The other really cool thing about this one is that if you're channeling your first, so if you fire out your 3, you can actually pre-channel your first ability so that when you refire and swap, you'll still have that active and you can immediately go to the stunning
I
component.
believe we have a video for this.
Oh,
as
we
well.
do? Heck yeah. So that, yeah, I cut them off a little bit early. There you go. So there's the third ability, refire. Bang, you're right over there. But you're not stealthing. It's a pretty crazy trade-off. But heck, it'll be fun. The other thing with Morrigan as well, because we did check this, is that if you are a Morrigan and you use your ultimate to someone who has an aspect, it should copy that aspect. And I say should because I've seen a bug with it. But it will. It will ultimately. So Morrigan, you will have to keep in mind what the enemy aspects or teammates aspects are. Maybe that was the bug.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll find out. Cool.
All right.
Awesome. So I think
was it
that
for
is the
aspects,
first 20 aspects that are going to be in the game.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be some interesting things y'all discover when you start playing 'em.
Absolutely.
But we want to make sure that we get them in your hands and we start getting that feedback. And, you know, if we need to make balance changes, we can. If there's something that's just stupid broken, we can, you know, maybe disable it, you know, if we have to, or make changes if we need to.
Absolutely. We're open to playing around, iterating, fixing whatever we need to do to make sure the system feels good for you guys in the long term.
And I will say the current intent is that the Vegas Founder Series LAN will be played on this update.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
they will be playing with aspects and on the new Conquest map and with everything else we're going to be announcing this week. So should be very interesting to see how they use those aspects.
Yes.
If there is an aspect that is just busted, we will be banning a specific aspect and not the god entirely. So, but we'll see. We're hoping
Fingers
there aren't any
crossed
busted at all, but there's always a chance.
They're
When you listen-
perfectly fine. No issues whatsoever.
This is such a huge change for the game, right? Like we've heard people say, like when we've been talking to people about this, like holy, this feels like Smite 2 now, guys, right? Like this is a really big change for the game. We think that it's really fun. It does so much to enable new ways of playing your favorite gods. And yeah, we're stoked. So this is really fun. I can't wait for you guys to play with them.
I know.
Yeah. And now that we've talked about them, I can finally say that. I would love, you guys have, just like you do for normal parts of the game, if you guys have ideas for aspects, if you guys want to, what's the Reddit thread, talk about it on X and Twitter and stuff like that, drop by my stream. You guys can totally do that. It's always really exciting to see what creative solution. We source the ambassadors for several of these. We source, internal self ideas. This isn't. It's always a team project, and that includes you guys in the community too. So please, we're excited to see what we can all cook up with together.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, do we want to go in for Conquest, or we want to just talk about item balance?
Let's run through the balance first, and then we'll run around to the map if that's.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I'm bringing up.
We just have a little bit of balance,
a little bit,
because I'm not the balance genius, but I wanted to make sure we talked a little bit about generally how we're changing balance heading into this update. First thing, strength items generally just don't feel as good as int items in the game. So we're going to make sure they feel a little bit more potent, right? Second thing, active items. Some of them don't feel as impactful as they could. So we're going to change that. We're going to make them feel more impactful.
Love that.
Third thing, we want to add additional price variations so that strong effects contribute enough stats to be able to feel impactful. And the big point about this is we want to have some items that are more clearly luxury items, which are more late game picks that have bigger stats and bigger actives and whatnot, that previously felt underwhelming. And lastly, there's going to be a lot more balance coming.
Yep.
Certainly in the hotfixes immediately after this update. This is just a first glance.
I'm sure even after the first splash test today, we'll be getting notes and making changes.
Yeah, and I will say, somebody's like, 4 more days of these Titan Talks, that's a lot. This is by far the biggest day, I will say, just because we need to lay the groundwork. But in the future days, we're going to be talking about the gods that are coming. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the all-new god. We're going to be talking about Joust. We're going to be talking about Assault. Actually, maybe next week is Assault.
Yeah, I think next Monday is Assault. There's just so much.
So there's so much to go through. But we're going to be talking about the gods and Joust for the rest of this week. So this is pretty big. And then let's talk through the actual. We have a couple numbers about the actual item balance. It's
here
tiny.
we go. Nice.
Oh, it's real tiny.
So basically, strength is going up on a lot of items. The Reaper now applies its benefit when you hit an enemy god rather than when you hit an enemy god below the threshold. And the stacks and lifesteal per stack and strength per stack has changed. But the total amount is the same as at max stats. So basically, like, you got to stack it up, but it's easier to stack up, but you got to get
easier to gain the
higher.
benefit too, which is nice.
I don't know if I need to read through all of these changes because they're mostly numbers changes. Avenging Blade does have an issue where the slow was applying less slow than was intended, and the protection reduction was applying its math incorrectly, which is a nerf and a buff all at once.
All right, and then we got another slide with even more.
Yeah, this is maybe more exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so Avatar's Parashu now has more of an active strength bonus, and you are now displacement immune while in Avatar Parashu's form.
Yeah, the big thing to notice there is really talking about that gold cost variance between this. This is going from 2,700 to 3,700, but that's because the item is now dummy good.
It is.
So that's like, if you're going for strength and you really want to be hitting enemies, you know that this is just the right item to buy late into the game, but you are not buying the sub-second item.
Yeah, same for Dreamer's Idol on the intelligence side.
Yeah, another one of those luxury items that we were talking about, right? And huge int, huge active int bonus on top of that, and again, you're displacement immune while in Dreamer's Idol form.
Yeah.
Eye of Providence. Now, if you kill the ward, it gets you 50 additional gold.
Yeah. Nice.
So, and it's in addition to the active is remaining in addition to the new passive effect. So maybe a really good support item if you plan on clearing a lot of wards. Jade Scepter is now also going to make enemies that are hit by it lose 25% strength and intelligence. We still have temp VFX, but they're slightly better.
So it's like previously really good to get people off you or do whatever you need to do, but now it's also going to debuff them as well. So if it was that movement wasn't enough, well, now maybe they'll be persuaded to leave. Leave me alone.
Lifebinder cooldown from 30 to 15 seconds. Huge cut in half.
Yeah, that's
pretty
massive.
Screeching Gargoyle, same thing as Jade Scepter. Enemies hit, well, not exactly, but enemies in the area will lose 25% magical and physical protection and increase the magical protection on the item. Phoenix Feather, decreased cooldown. This is really good, guys.
Yeah.
Like, the cooldown was super long, but if the cooldown gets too low on this, it's going to become a must-buy item.
Yeah.
So we'd rather move this a little bit in the right direction and then see, do we need to move further,
Yeah,
right?
cooldown was super long as well because we're all just like, this is a really good item, and one day people will realize it's like, okay, now they better realize.
Yes. And it also now pulses out a ring of fire around you on activation that deals damage equal to 10% of your max HP as true damage. And if you're playing as Thanatos, then you can stack up your max HP, and then it just goes crazy.
Oh,
So-
exactly. I love it.
Yeah, so fun stuff. Stampede, now instead of gaining 30%, I believe that's movement speed instantly, you now gain 60% that scales down
I
to 20%.
love that. So now you're going real fast, and then it's like
quick
speeding
zoom
off
that
over
slows
time.
down.
Kind of like Cuckoo too.
Yep. And you and any allies with this effect are slow cleansed, slow immune, and gain 20% attack speed for the
Nice.
duration.
That's
real
real
good. You should try building it. Dagger of Frenzy, decrease the basic attack damage from 40 to 10 plus 2 per level. Change the duration from 6 seconds to the next 5 basic attacks, which is pretty good. Make sure that you actually get value out of it. And decrease the cooldown from 30 seconds to 15 seconds. Getting a kill on a god immediately resets the cooldown.
That's real good.
I see somebody asking, well, what's the point of Hisar's wings then? Oh, just you wait, my sweet summer child.
Wait.
Yeah, Pon says, just wait.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next slide, passive and general items updates. I believe Hisar is on here. I'm just going to
Yeah,
get to that
there
one
it
right
is.
now. The active has been replaced with the passive. The passive, you are immune to slows.
Yep.
If you don't want to be slowed, build Hisar's wings.
But you think that's just like the obvious ubiquitous supply to buy all the time. It's also shifted in its price because it's got, 25 to 40, 25 to 30, 340. It's a really good stat stick item now. It's going to cost you 3,000 gold.
Yep.
So that is pretty important to remember too.
Yeah, 3,000 gold's a lot. It's a lot. So, yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay, backing up, kin size decreased the max health damage from 4% to 3.5%, but now deals an additional 4% of the difference between the user and target's maximum health. I don't know how to interpret that, but I assume it's good.
Yeah. Kind of like the nemesis aspect we talked about, right?
Height of the Nemean Lion, increased basic attack reflect damage, and increased active reflect damage and increased duration. So if you want to reflect some damage, it's better at it. Yogi's Necklace, now decreased health regen, but you heal 0.5% of your maximum health and mana per second. That sounds like a Smite 1 item that I know and love. So maybe build that. Wish Granting Pearl, the cost has gone up a lot.
But it's a beefy stat stick. Oh
But
my
it is
goodness.
a beefy stat stick. So definitely
Just
give that a
double
try.
everything.
Yes. Typhon's Fang, a little more int. Shifter Shield, increase the strength on the passive. Leviathan's Hide, increase the physical protection. Sphere of Negation, increase the cost by a lot.
but
increase
over
the
double.
magic protection
Oh my
from
gosh.
40 to 100.
You were definitely negating that magical damage.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So again, this is the idea of the luxury items we're talking about. Where you
Yes.
get late in the game, there's something for you to spend gold on now, right? Elixir of Strength and Elixir of Intelligence. These consumables now stack their effects with subsequent purchases
If you
of the
didn't
same
want-
elixir. So keep buying more of the elixir, and you keep stacking.
If you weren't sure what to spend your money on, like previously if the games were getting too long, or if you thought you had too much gold, or you're just really doing well. Now you know. Now you have a lot of things to do.
Yes. And you have choices, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Choices are great. We've given you a lot of choices here. This is insane. Yes, it is insane. We're insane. But
We're insane. We're crazy.
That's a mood.
awesome. Relics. So we have decreased the cooldown of beads. So maybe beads is good.
Yeah.
I don't know. And for Phantom Shell, we have decreased the cooldown and increased the shield health from 80 plus 15 per level to 100 plus 15 per level.
Yes.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
I think that might be it. Oh, no, we have more. There's new items. I forgot about the new
I
items.
know, right?
Yeah. A couple new ones.
Chad has been telling us that the number one thing that hunters need to be viable as traditional basic attack hunters is dominance.
Yes.
So we brought dominance back. But it's a little bit different. It now has a passive that deals bonus damage as if they had 20% less protections. It should effectively do the same thing as giving you the additional 20% like protection shred, but it just works. Like mathematically, it should be pretty similar, but this was just the easier way to get it to work in SMITE 2 with what we had right now. So that should give you a very similar feeling. Honestly, Odysseus' bow, everybody knows it. Classic item. Same thing that it does in SMITE 1. It's just bucket of attack speed with every fourth successful basic attack arcs lightning to 4 targets, deals damage equal to 15 plus 60% of your basic attack damage. And an all-new item, Learning Bow. It costs $24.50. It's 40 strength, 30% attack speed, and has an active fire a poisonous arrow that pierces all enemies 8.8 meters in front of you, dealing 130% of your basic attack damage as physical damage, and inflicting them with 40% reduced healing for 4 seconds. This arrow can critically strike and passes through walls.
This is
there you go. Your hunter anti-heal
ADC anti-heal item.
That's right.
Yes. We needed an anti-heal item for hunters. We knew it was a missing area, so this is that. Yeah. So buy Learning Bow if you want that.
Cool. That is the last slide.
Yeah, and people that are really concerned with like those stats for that price is not okay. That's why we're going to be testing all of this. This is a first out. We would rather start things a little bit strong so that you build them and we see how they go. But maybe dominance just is a little too strong. We'll see. So as you can tell, there's a ton of stuff in this update, which is why we are flash testing every day this week is the goal. If you want to play this stuff, download PTS and play it. We're going to be flash testing. There's instructions in Discord, I think.
Yep. In the Discord, we'll have all that stuff for whenever we get the flash test live, and people will be able to hop in and try out with all the cool stuff that we talked about today. It's insane. Yep. I am prepping the game to see if we can get it and just walk through the Conquest map for a little bit, just so you all get a little bit of eyes on what is actually happening.
Oh, that's a question. Does Odysseus' bows bounces deal physical damage or magical damage?
Should deal physical, I would have thought.
Physical damage? Okay.
I don't know on the top of my head. Maybe
I don't either.
In chat.
Yeah, if you all want to take
God aspect test win, Hindu man. Hopefully today. Hopefully today, if
physical damage
works and we can start testing it. This patch scares me.
In a good way or bad way.
You should enjoy.
Do you want to go
fun?
Donza, even though I know you can guess, just to show one of them.
Geb aspect test win is what Hindu man says. So you will not be able to try the Geb aspect today because Geb will not be turned on today. He will be turned on later this week after we talk about Geb's other +1s because he's got some other craziness that he does. We're loading into games so that we can run around the.
We did it.
Nice. We did it. Okay.
Okay, so a few things there.
Laptop.
Can you go to the scoreboard real quick?
Let's see. I don't have the laptop up. Here we go. Toggle cams, and I'll go to the scoreboard.
Hell yeah. Okay, just making sure. So there you can see where if there were more people in that, you can see the aspects there. There will be a little icon in the center of those as well. That's the last thing that's coming. It'll be that little wavy symbol because you're waving your friends on over, and that's how you can be able to see your teammates and the enemy's aspects. Also, if you hover over the second ability.
Let's see here. 1 second. Boom.
You'll see, and go ahead. All of the information has changed, right? This should say a lot more other things about the Alluring Spirit sake bottle and what it could do, but now it tells you about you're spawning 2 clones.
Yeah, cool. I will hook me up. There we go.
Oh, you want to do it?
Oh yeah. Let's
press
see
the button.
Here.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's your buddies. Now you can just always have buddies.
Right.
Yes, it does.
The
aspect of the fellowship does affect your passive clones too.
We'll show off kind of the side harpy camps here.
Yeah, there's so many new things in the Conquest.
Yeah, and I think you can see already it just like feels a little bit different as you're running around, right?
Spam the clones. I don't know. Do you want to break the game?
I know, right?
Are you worried?
We just got here. I don't want to leave yet.
Yeah. So here's the two new side lane camps for
minions have spawned.
And in a minute, they'll be standing there.
Yep. I'll kind of walk through. By the time I hit the other lane, they should be spawned.
You guys can see on the mini-map the new jungle formation where the different islands and the difference between where the red buff is and the back camps.
This is the new speed area. As you can see, we've got speed back here. Got your 1 harpy camp, but no more camp right here. But if you walk forward a little bit, we will see a new camp. And another harpy camp here. And we'll go over to the other side, show you all the new red layout. And we should see the another Cyclops camp here. But here we have the new Scorpion camp that drops the Eye of the Jungle.
No, turn around. Oh no, they're around you. Sorry, the wisp. Follow the wisp.
Oh my gosh.
Roaming harpies. Also roaming harpy behind you. All the new things.
I know. There you go. So now you got a percent healing, 1% over 10 seconds. People are asking about the M and the H. I believe it's placeholders right now, but
that was just medium and hard.
Medium and hard,
yeah.
Right? For our playtesting, like it's important to know like how hard should this camp be. So we flag like easy, medium, and hard playtests or hard camps as we're working on things.
The obsidian fragments in the fire giant area. You can see that. +2 strength and intelligence per stack permanently, and 2 spawn at a time, I believe. Ooh, piece of candy.
Ooh, piece of candy. Oh, I got to show the gold peak out.
Wide map mode. Yeah, the map is a little bit wider now.
We had a lot of feedback specifically around this area of the map.
That is
from red to mid. Just a lot easier to path for your mid laners who want to clear that buff consistently.
They want to see you break some pots too.
Oh yeah, I'm going.
I love the bounce.
All right, here we go. So here is one pot. You can shoot it.
So these are the silver pots. They give you 2 gold. I think there was like a variance 2 to 3 or something like that.
You can also just
maybe.
walk over it.
And then the gold pots. Lot more golds.
Just a little bit. It's fun to do.
And the side camps. One of which has 2 slightly harder to kill harpies, and then the other one that has 5 easier harpies.
So 2 harpies here, but 5 harpies here.
And I will say, when you guys playtest, you will probably notice some other things that we didn't talk about today. We didn't do like full patch notes. There's some other new features and whatnot that are around. But yeah, definitely let us know what you're thinking. And now, hey, look, more gold. Do enemies hear you pick up pots? I believe they do play an audio effect.
I would assume so.
Yeah. Do the camps go together, Clumzy?
Yeah, I think they might. Oh yeah, you want to try that?
Which one?
Go to the side camps, and I think you might be able to pull those ones specifically together, or we test that, and I can't remember what the resolution is, but let's find out together live.
Let's do it, yeah.
Chat says lighting needs to be rebuilt. Yeah, basically in dev, we always have that.
Oh, it's at the top left? Yeah, that's right.
Lighting needs to be rebuilt.
So just like smack one, you can see how like the pathing there is kind of connected by
I don't know. I think they're still a circle. I don't think it was pulled together. Maybe. Oh, they
nope,
will.
there we go.
Look at that.
So these ones specifically, you pull together. Oh, look at our buddies.
Little army.
Nice. Good call out, chat. I didn't even think about pulling those together.
Testing on console or PC only. I believe today will probably be PC only, just because of the timeline that we're working with. But probably later this week we will try and get some console testing as well.
Those are the only camps that do that, by the way.
Yep. Got another wisp here. Nice little audio cue whenever you pick it up.
Do we have the new item art in? I don't know if we do.
The new item art?
Yeah, for the bow.
I can't remember.
Let's see.
Yep. There's.
Or is that?
It looks like it's probably a little bit temp.
Yeah.
And Sunbeam, Eros, Odie bow right there.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that is everything that we did today.
Spam the 2 and crash the game.
I know, right? I just crashed the game. Well, we're on cameras now, so.
No, or spam the 2 just for me. You don't need to show them.
Oh, because we've been here for a minute. We definitely want to get back and make sure that we get things prepped for the flash test. But we talked about Conquest, aspects, a whole lot of item balance, and then we've still got 4 days of Titan talks to go through. We've got 5 new gods to talk about. We've got Joust to talk about, and I'm sure there'll probably be some other things to talk about as well over the course of the week, the next few days. Killgoon, anything to talk to the community about before we wrap up?
No, I'll just say this. I say no, and then I'm going to talk.
Yeah.
This year has been a journey for the game, for the dev team. You know, we all have believed that we can make a Smite 2 that does justice to the original Smite, that makes everybody happy, that's just better in every way, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to see the real promise of that, right? And I think I'm just really excited to have you all play this, see what you think of all these spicy new changes.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're really like entering the next phase of Smite 2, right? Where it's less like shit's just broken all the time, and there's so much obvious stuff we have to do, right? To where it's just a lot better overall. The other thing I would say, I'm gonna say two more things. If you are having like performance people, we've been testing internally about DLSS and FSR and XESS. We have those enabled now as a thing that you can turn on yourself. I would love for anybody who's watching this to try it on your own machine and let us know how it feels. Yeah. So if you go into your anti-aliasing, you switch it to TAA, then you can turn on DLSS if you're an NVIDIA card, Fidelity FX Super Resolution if you're an AMD card, or XESS if you're an Intel card. And I think there's 10 of those out there, but they're actually pretty good cards, but they just aren't, they're new to the market, so they aren't selling very many. So try those. I will say, like, people with DLSS in particular, people are seeing like 30, 40% frame rate improvement if you set it on balanced, right? So try it and let us know what you think. We do have FSR and frame gen. I think it's FSR 3, but it might be FSR 2. I'm not sure. But try it and let us know how it affects your performance. We might be trying to turn that on just by default for people. So if you see any major issues while testing it, please let us know. Do I have anything else I want to say? I think you had something you wanted to say.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was saying earlier, we've got a full week of Titan Talks lined up for the rest of the week. Tomorrow's going to be a super duper exciting show. Yeah, I was going to say, chat, you definitely want to make sure that you're here, because if you are not here, you are going to wish that you were here. So until then, we will see you all. Have a great rest of the day. Peace out, chat.